This week, PAPI attacks Sov in a Delve constellation, Brave leadership redeployment discussion gets leaked, and PAPI start to push into Imperium's home constellation. Hello, I'm Frost, and this is your weekly EVE Online war update. Welcome back. So, as is becoming the norm at the moment, Mondays and Tuesdays are proving to be very, very quiet. So, there's nothing that really happened of strategic importance on Monday the 8th and Tuesday the 9th. So what we'll do is we're going to jump straight to Wednesday the 10th. And as always, I'm going to start with .lan. I'm going to jump up into my box. And the first item to mention is the PDEI hub. So the PDEI hub is the one right here. It was the last remaining in these two constellations that have been the point of focus for PAPI recently. So they managed to secure this and they managed to flip it over to test. So that kind of solidified their presence in these two constellations. Now there was another Sov warfare fight going on for UEXO, and the Imperium were able to retain this one. The PAPI forces left it too late to call for reinforcements, and they kind of lost it in that constellation. They probably should have given it a little bit more effort, but that was just, I think, a little bit disorganized towards the end there, and they left it a little bit late. But anyway, the main thing was that the Imperium actually came out and fought for this, and this is something that we're going to see a little bit later on during the week, that some really bizarre things have been happening from the Imperium side. So we're going to move on a little bit. The other thing I want to mention as well for Wednesday the 10th is Volta. Now, if you remember, I mentioned Volta last week, how they took they reinforced the iHub in GETAC in catch. So let's go up. So to catch right here. So GETAC is right here in the middle here. And this system was the Brave capital system. And it looked like Volta were going to come in and harass Brave. But as it turns out, it's been much more a case of fights of opportunity. And what Volta went and did, they went all the way over to Wicked Creek over here in the right-hand side of New Eden. And they reinforced all of these iHubs. Now, particularly C006-K is a Keepstar system. There is a test Keepstar there, but it was going to be the staging system for Fire Coalition. Fire Coalition made up of XIX, Razor, Unreal Alliance, primarily Russian. They were going to stage out of there, and Volta decided to come and reinforce these. So they just seem to be kind of just taking pot shots at things and don't necessarily have kind of an all-out attack as they did have recently a year or so back in the drone lands. So Volta are not so much of consequence as I thought they might be last week. I really thought they were going to attack Brave, but Brave very much stays in the conversation because there was a leak. And this leak made it to Reddit, and basically it was a paste bin of a private discussion between members of leadership in Brave. Now, I've linked this in the description if you want to go and look at it yourself. At the end of the day, it's their dirty laundry being put out for everyone to read. This isn't unusual in alliances for there to be polarizing views at a leadership level. But what it actually boiled down to is the fact that if I go back to my catch map, Brave at the moment are deployed based in catch. And they were having issues with simple farmers, etc., with their Sov and some of their structures. And what this document actually talks about is that them actually redeploying completely to Quirius, but also at very, very short notice. And there was a lot of discussion about being able to do this at short notice and so forth. And what was unfortunate really with the leak is that the line members found out about it through the leak rather than hearing it from their own leadership. But what it does is that it puts Brave into a position where they're now basically going to go back into Quirius. So here's the Quirius map in front of us. And as you know, Siberian Squad are moving there as well because they flipped over from being in PAPI a few weeks back to then moving up north to now joining the Imperium. So they're trying to settle in Quirius as well. And so there's a kind of a clash between Brave and Siberian Squad, although they're in different time zones. And the Siberian Squad time zone being Russian and Chinese time zones is kind of not Brave's strongest. So they're probably going to need some support from PAPI here. But anyway, so Brave have come in here, and then that kind of brings us now onto Thursday the 11th. So on Thursday 11th, let me show you the map, and you can see kind of what's going on. Let me just double check that I haven't missed something, because there's something that happened in GOP. Okay, that's a little bit later, so we'll come back to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the map as it stood on the 11th, which was Thursday, at 7 p.m. in the evening, that's UTC. And the area we want to focus on is this constellation over here. So this constellation was part of what was originally Helms Deep. Now, once again, Helms Deep meant different things to different people. To some people, Helms Deep meant the gate camp in E30I on the RF-K9W gate. To others, it meant this whole back constellation here that was in a pocket. Now, the previous week, PAPI made some big advances and managed to take these two constellations. And then this week, their focus has been very much on this constellation right here. And this constellation, as you can see at this point in time, was totally belonged to the Imperium. And the thing that's most notable about this is that Karma Fleet are based here. Now, Karma Fleet are the New Bro alliance within the Imperium. So their equivalent, for example, in PanFam would be Pandemic Horde, or in Legacy Coalition would be Brave Collective. And they have a Keepstar in 39P-1J. And then all of these systems were sino-jammed, and they were being used primarily for ratting. 39P-1-1J is also important, as it is a jump bridge to 1DQ1-A, which is the Imperium capital system, or where Goonswarm are based. So this was kind of the main focus, and what happened was some iHubs were reinforced. That the HZAQ iHub was reinforced, the 8RQJ iHub was reinforced. This one belonged to TNT, and there was one more, 7G-QIG was reinforced as well. On top of that, the Sino-jammers were hit, so that when it came to the Sov warfare, the PAPI forces would then be able to drop in their capitals, faxes, etc., to provide support in the Sov warfare. So then, after these have all been reinforced on the Thursday, we now move on to Friday. So Friday was a big deal for Quirius, because this iHub at the top here, that's GOP-GE, was flipped over to PAPI and to Brave specifically. Now, GOP is kind of important because it's a Keepstar system in Quirius. It's one of the 3 Keepstars that's owned by the Imperium, the other one being in F20Y and the last one being in W6V-VM. So the thing that's of note to this is the fact that Siberian Squad were going to use this as their base. And so Brave have managed to take the iHub there. Now, whether they actually managed to keep it is another thing, because Brave originally had a lot of Sov in Quirius, and they lost it because they're unable to kind of maintain that and maintain the Sov on their own, whilst also dealing with like simple farmers, etc. in catch. So it's going to be interesting to see if Brave can do this, or whether they're going to have to rely a lot on PAPI reinforcements to help them. I think now that GOP-GE has become something of importance to PAPI, they will get a lot more help now in Quirius. So we are then going to move on to, that's it, UEXO. So UEXO, I said at that point it was reinforced. I originally said, sorry, on Wednesday the 10th it was reinforced. But the actual fight for the Sov was actually on the Friday the 12th. And this was the time when Imperium actually defended it. So my mistake there, I thought they defended it on the couple of days earlier. Right, okay, get back on track, because now we're going to come on to Saturday. So the first thing that happened on Saturday was in the very early hours of the morning, in 1 a.m., a Dracus Fortizar went down in 1 TAC2 JPI. We've got the kill mail here. Okay, and it's always worth noting, because these are faction Fortizars and they kind of have a high value to them. This is pretty much uncontested, so it can kind of just die, but it was worth mentioning. Now, what really happened was important was on the Saturday night. This is on the Saturday evening. If you remember, I talked about, let me go to the Dotland map itself and go into Constellation. There we go. The 3 systems that I mentioned got reinforced a couple of nights before. So HZAQ, ZG and ARQ were not contested over, and this was really, really surprising. There was only a little bit of contesting, and that was actually an ARQ by the TNT locals that lived there. And it wasn't kind of an all-out attempt to try and reinforce to protect it. And so the PAPI forces were able to take these systems without pretty much any opposition from the Imperium. And this is really, really surprising. So if we go back to iHub ownerships, you can see the situation now is that PAPI now own four systems out of the 6 that are in this constellation. And as I said before, these were routing systems and they were used heavily, to keep that kind of revenue going for the line members. And that's kind of been lost now. So I really thought they would fight for this, and they didn't. So some questions there, and if you've got some input on that, I would really be interested to hear about it. Talking about that, if you enjoy my videos, please give me a like. It always helps a lot. Please subscribe to my channels. I do release these weekly, and then that way you get notifications. And leave comments. I'm always interested to hear your thoughts. You can either do it in the comments, or if you're more kind of a more interactive approach to that, you're more than welcome to join my Discord. The link is in the description, and join the discussion there as well. All right, so moving on. So that was kind of Saturday done, and these systems got flipped without any kind of major opposition. And then we move on to Sunday the 14th. Now, Sunday the 14th was just a structure bash. Once again, these were not contested, and we had 2 Sotios and a Fortizar. Now, if I bring up my Sotio kills, there's a notable one here, which is the one that happened at 21:30 in the system of 23G-XE. This was a 241 billion kill mail. Now, the reason why that was such a big kill mail is there was a T2 rig, and these T2 rigs are super expensive. And this is only the second time that a Sotio with a T2 rig has died. So I'm mincing up my words here. The first one died in K-6, kind of early on in this war, actually. I think it was way back in November, possibly. And now this one died in 23G, and everything was kind of around this area. I think the Fortizar was in JP4. So yes, 2 Sotios and 1 Fortizar died. And that was pretty much it for Sunday. So overall, it's been a pretty quiet week. Now we come on to today, Monday 15th, and this is all kind of like last minute stuff, like last minute info that's just come in. The area that's now become a point of interest is 3TAC-D MQT, which is in the home constellation of the Imperium. Now, this is kind of important, and this happened starting from just before downtime and then went to a couple of hours after downtime. And it involved primarily subcaps. There was a battle report here that you could see. So there was like 416 on the PAPI side, 256 on the Imperium side. These numbers were more balanced at the beginning. And then what happened was that PAPI were able to kind of call in more reinforcements and were able to get their objectives. But what was notable is that we did get some carriers dropped in. You can see 22 carriers being dropped in from the Imperium side. Now, as a response to that, what happened is that my mind blank. Sorry. What happened was a pandemic horde dropped an ASBEL. And they actually managed to anchor this ASBEL. Whilst they were doing this, they were also able to take out a whole bunch of Sino-jammers in 3TAC-D. Now, this is a big deal because this ASBEL, if I go back to my dotland, this ASBEL in 3TAC-D is right next to the iHub and the TCU in that system. So Pandemic Horde love their carriers. And as we saw, the Imperium kind of defended with carriers. So I think the plan there is very much for Horde to take out these Sino-jammers, keep these Sino-jammers offline for when the iHub fight takes place, and then they'll be able to jump in their multitude of carriers within fighter distance of the iHub. So that kind of gives us an idea of where things are going to go there. And that was literally, as I said, kind of the last thing that happened. Now, what's going to happen tonight, which will come out just after about this video is released, is the 39P-1J iHub is going to be fought over. Now, this is a big deal because this is a Keepstar system and it is also home to Karma Fleet. Now, I believe that's happening at 20:49 tonight, Eve time. So a little bit after this video is released, and I expect there to be a fight for this. And the thing that I found really, really surprising is for this whole week, there really hasn't been kind of any real strong defense being presented by the Imperium. And if you remember about a month ago, after the M2 TAC kind of disaster for PAPI, there was a couple of weeks when PAPI were just kind of all over the place and didn't really have any strong focus. And it took them in a couple more weeks, it got to the end of January before they kind of got their mojo back together and had a plan of attack. And this now seems to be happening with the Imperium. There doesn't seem to be a really strong direction and focus as to where they want to go at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see where that plays out. Now, obviously with 3-D being hit by PAPI, it looks like they want to now really push into this like final constellation. There is obviously the constellation over here on the right that Goonswarm and Imperium still own, but this is obviously the one that's of interest. Now, what I would expect the Imperium to do is there is a jump bridge between T5ZI right here and QY1E. Now this gives really good projection for the PAPI forces. It allows them to kind of keep track of all these pockets over here. It allows them to get behind the 1DQ kind of bubbles and gate camps, so they don't have to fly into 1DQ to deal with these back systems here. And I would really expect the Imperium to kind of be really aggressive on QY1E, which they haven't been so far. And if they don't, I can see the PAPI forces really pushing into 3-TAC-D and N-8, and then possibly trying to break down the Sino-jammers in these back systems that are behind 1DQ1. If they can do that, and they can start flipping I-hubs in this constellation, then that will put 1DQ potentially under threat. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. I'll be really, really interested to know. And then I'm going to wrap up now with just one last thing, which was really interesting, and I wanted to mention it last week. And this was done by HEOFZ on Discord. He posted this, and this is actually the losses from both sides in the war to date as of last week. So this was posted 8 days ago. And what is amazing here is the amount of stuff that has died. So you can see there's like 680,000 ships lost in this war so far, for a total value, if we take both the Imperium and the PAPI side, of pretty much 100 trillion ISK. I mean, these are insane numbers, and this gives you an idea of just how big this war has been and how costly it has been for both sides. And it's still going, and stuff is still dying, as you saw the 240 billion TOs going down. This is not ending just yet, and I'm sure there's a few more weeks to go before we see potentially a final outcome to this. So anyway, thank you for watching. As always, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, join my Discord. Please post this in your Corp Discord and your Alliance Discords and let other people know that I'm doing these on a weekly basis. And that's it from me. I'm out of breath. Thank you for watching. All right, bye.